Good morning. This is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Packs for the next few days are shown here. Still looking for another cool day today, mainly across the northern, really two-thirds of the whole entire area, behind the strong low pressure system over the weekend. We could see some very isolated storms in Nevada today. Tomorrow, winds pick up over central and eastern Utah in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range, so not nearly what we saw last week, but still breezy, especially in those areas where we have some ongoing large fires. And then another chance of some, actually a better chance of some isolated storms in eastern Nevada on Tuesday, which could be a mix of wet and dry, so keeping an eye on that. Wednesday, some winds moving to the Sierra front, and then some isolated storms here and there as well. But overall, generally mild temperatures the next couple of days with gradual warming, especially for the second half of the work week. Okay, precipitation for yesterday is shown here on the left. We did see some decent precip amounts over the eastern central Idaho mountains. Even northern Utah saw some precip with that low pressure system moving through, with just some isolated storms there in northeast Idaho. Fire activity was a little bit lighter tomorrow behind the front. A larger fire there in western Idaho, otherwise some small fires here and there. Some pretty decent growth still on our fires down in southern Utah as the wind shifted to the east or west yesterday. Okay, temperature and precipitation departures from average. Here we have temperature departure from average for the last 30 days on the left and precip on the right. So the last month or so has been very warm, above average 6 to 8 degrees in some areas, and then very dry as well, mainly across the northern two-thirds of the area. This precip down south was really early in the month, and the impacts of that precip are long gone. ERCs have been on a downward trend for really the entire geographic area over the last couple days with the cold front having moved through, but we still do have some decently high values, especially in eastern and southern Utah, where the temperatures haven't been quite as low. So still some potential in those areas. Closer look here at western Wyoming here on the top. Took a dip with the cold front, but it does seem to increase pretty rapidly back up again to and remaining above normal during the period. And then here in eastern Idaho or eastern Nevada, where we will likely see some isolated storms tomorrow, we can see the ERCs did take a drop behind the cold front as well, but again rebounding pretty quickly back up to even setting some records by the end of the 7-day period. Smoke impacts are shown here for today and tomorrow. Certainly still continuing to see the smoke from the fires in the south moving through the state of Utah, and then we have some fire from or some smoke from northern Mexico as well, moving up into southern Nevada. Satellite imagery this morning shows another low pressure. This is not the trough that moved through yesterday. This is another one. Kind of hanging out here in Southern California today, southern Nevada. That will bring a little bit of this cloud cover continuing to move into the basin and some isolated storms, and also keeping the temperatures on the mild side today and tomorrow. So again, today, a little bit of moisture in there, mostly just cloud cover, very isolated chances of storms, and overall significant fire potential is kind of moderated, still behind that trough yesterday. Maximum temperatures still quite low for the time of year, 5 to 10 degrees below normal in some areas. Highs mainly in the 70s. Minimum relative humidities are still up a few points. Didn't see much relative humidity recovery in Nevada and Utah behind that front. Still very dry there and a little bit higher RHs across the north. On Tuesday, that low still kind of moving across the Great Basin. It is a weak low, not doing too much for us, but does increase winds a little bit, so we do have high risk to indicate some potential on our ongoing large fires down south. And maybe some isolated storms, but otherwise shouldn't be too big of an impact. So again, some isolated chances of thunderstorms over mainly eastern Nevada or up into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. Pretty isolated still, and then those winds picking up mainly over eastern Utah, but due to the ongoing large fires here in southern and southwest Utah, we did highlight that high risk there. On Wednesday, we'll start to that little low will move off to the east. There's another trough moving to the Pacific Northwest. We'll start to warm our temperatures, and then we'll see some increased wind speeds along the Sierra front. See browns moving back into the Great Basin a little bit further north and west due to the warming and drying. Winds again showing some increased wind speeds along the Sierra front beginning on Wednesday. and some winds in the central Idaho mountains as well. And then the relative humidity start to decrease back into those single digits beginning on Wednesday. 3-day precip totals not showing really much at all to speak of, just some isolated storms here and there, mainly eastern Nevada, where they could be kind of a mix of wet and dry. And then on Thursday, that trough still kind of remaining to the north. Maybe some breezy winds still over western Nevada, but warming temperatures further south. No high risk. And then Friday into the weekend, we'll start to build a high pressure ridge into the area, which will really start to increase our temperatures back to above normal. And we see more browns moving back into the map, onto the map as well. And again, Saturday, that ridge sort of building back in and into Sunday as well. So high pressure by the weekend, warming temperatures back into the valley highs, back into the mid to upper 90s. And 7-day precip total is not really showing any change from the 3-day. It's going to be a dry week for the most part. And the extended forecast for June 30th to July 6th brings us much above normal temperatures again, especially to the north. Below normal chances for precipitation for much of the Great Basin, but we do see this continuation of the monsoon signal that we're starting to see. So we'll kind of start to keep an eye on it and see when we should expect to see thunderstorms moving into southern parts of the Great Basin. And that concludes today's briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.